Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to another gameplay commentary. Today we'll be using the TAR-21 Silence with Cold-Blooded, that classic combo, on Modern Warfare 2, oh the vein of my existence. Coworkers. More specifically, toxic coworkers. When I think about it in my life, I've always had the opportunity and choice, the privilege you might say, just to have certain people in my life, whether that be friends or relationships, family, etc. What I don't, however, have control over is my coworkers. And if you ask me, I always say it. I've always said it. Coworkers have to be the worst part of any job, bar none. I'm just saying, I feel like I'm a very normal person, like baseline, very normal, you know? Like I treat people with respect, if they treat me with respect. I'm never just like hostile towards anybody. I don't judge people off the bat. I always let them, show me how they are first and, give them the benefit of the doubt. And then after that, that's whatever they decide, right? I generally, help others out if I can and it's convenient. I help when no one's looking. And I'm not saying this is like a flex. I feel like this is just how normal people should act. That's what I'm saying. I think I'm just a normal human being. But I think being normal is becoming less common than you think. I remember joining the workforce for the first time. I was almost disillusioned. It's not like I didn't know that people could be like this, how vindictive, selfish, and just unlogical people can behave and act towards people at a job and at their coworkers. It's not like I didn't know this. I just was reminded. I forgot this existed, and now work just reminds me how much I don't like certain people. Like seriously, I cannot wrap my brain around the mental process of being a toxic coworker. Like me personally, that doesn't make any sense. It's not in my heart, it's not in my brain, it's not how I think. I just think I'm not wired a certain way. Like I'm sure you've had that in your life where someone acts a certain way and you're just like, how? Like, how can you be so disillusioned? How can you be such a, like, one of those villain-written characters? But I guess somebody has to embody those people in real life from the novels. In my opinion, I felt like life is already hard. I didn't ask to be here. And the fact that someone else could be going through that, the same weight and stress of life, and still have enough energy to decide to bully and harass other people, and make their life harder, honestly, it's incomprehensible to me. It makes no sense. I wouldn't do it. I honestly have no respect for people like this. And I think they have a serious mental issue, sorry to say it. They're just not normal. They're not normal people. Even just talking about this kind of makes me annoyed because I'm just thinking about all the annoying weirdos I've had to work with. People just really need to stop caring about other people's business, comparing themselves and feeling some type of way. Just mind your own business and everything should be copacetic. Everything should be fine. As my music teacher from high school used to say. Again, in my own perfect world, like if I was in charge of all the rules and what would happen well, first of all, I wouldn't even be at work because no one would be working. It'd be like France. We'd all be chilling. But if we did have to work, everyone would just leave me alone. And don't get me wrong, this is after a few bad experiences. I love making friends. I love meeting people. I think it's a very human thing to do, and I think I'm good at it. But some of these people are weird. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not normal. These are weird spawns of the earth. They're just weird creatures who just sap the energy from the room. To be honest, I only really recommend being friends with your coworkers if you really, really trust them. You talk outside of work already, like you guys already did the whole shebang, you know what I mean? You guys will probably talk after your employment ends. Like you guys are still in contact and friends after you guys stop working at the job. If you just meet a genuine person, that's awesome, that's rare. And as an adult, it's harder to make friends. So that definitely is a route to make friends, but definitely be cautious, because making a genuine friend is far and few between, to be honest. And that's great if you make a friend like that. I know a lot of people who've met great friends, lifelong friends through work. I just want to recognize the dynamic that could be there. It usually starts off with a new coworker coming up to you, inviting you, hey, do you want to go somewhere after work? Me and the guys or me and the girls are going to get some drinks or whatever. Do not do this. Do not do this. I repeat, do not do this. Especially if you're new. Especially if you're new. Why do I say this? Because you are inviting in any type of disruption or disagreement on any scale it becomes much bigger and translate into the workplace. These people, these toxic coworkers cannot handle you giving too much energy or dynamics. If they read it a certain type of way, if they felt slighted in any type of way, they'll start acting different, being weird in the workplace, and you can't do anything about it. That's just how they are. They internalize things, they project things, and they don't even realize they're doing it. You have to pray for these people, honestly, but something is not going right at home for them. What I'm basically saying is, you don't want to give anybody an opportunity, any reason to dislike you or feel any type of way about it. Because these toxic coworkers will latch onto anything and make it about them. Sometimes it's better just to never give them any fuel or energy to act out. And I've had a ton of experience with toxic coworkers. It's like they will hate you for actually doing your job. Like, I just want to do my job correctly and just leave. I just want to get paid and leave. I don't want to deal with anything. So I remember I had this job. I was a busser at a brewery. And let's say my coworker's name is Jojo, right? She was the most toxic, evil person I ever met. I didn't even know people can even be like this. She would constantly message in the Slack group chat of our job, texting all the managers, hey guys, being really nice, buying everyone snacks, telling everybody, good job, I'm proud of us, bringing stacks in for the whole crew. But behind the scenes, her mouth would be filled like a chipmunk, Alvin and the Chipmunks, with the gossip. I remember the first few weeks, she came up to me and talked bad about our manager, how he was going on vacation for a few weeks, and that he was a terrible manager. And obviously, if a coworker talks bad about a person in front of you, and she didn't even trust me, she just went off and told me all this stuff. In like the first month or 2 months of me working there, they're obviously going to speak bad about you. And that's exactly what happened. So in this situation, she had the backing of all the managers. She's been there longer than me, so she could control the narrative. What could I do, right? Plus, I had a terrible manager. He was a new manager. He didn't know really how to handle the problems at work. He was just trying to really get promoted. He ended up leaving, switching ships anyways. I really cared about that business, but the manager was always planning to leave. They didn't really care about the long-term future at all. So never really cared to really delve deep into the problems and find out the correct solution or answer. Instead, just kind of made things worse. And this just kind of all culminates to a toxic workplace. And in the end of that situation, what ended up happening is I ended up leaving just because even if I were to get promoted and move up, I don't think I'd even want to be around these people who even support this whole like work environment. But something that came to my mind is that I think most normal people like me, or just genuine, just normal human beings, you know? Like not vindictive, not evil. Normal people don't strategize to bring other people down. They just work, and I don't know, I think they're almost naive to a certain point like me. I think that hard work should equate to being promoted, to working hard. If you work hard and you're genuine about your job and you're good at doing it, you should get promoted, right? But I think the truth is, all the people who are in higher positions, they all learn all these tactics. They bring people down, they strategize, because that's how you have to survive in the world nowadays. It's not all about merit, it's more about connections and talking to yourself and controlling dynamics and knowing people and getting away with things. And I know this is a universal problem. If any of you guys have ever had any job before, you guys can relate. And if you can't, well, lucky you. And also, maybe you might be the toxic coworker, who knows. But anyways, we probably all dealt with a toxic coworker in our lifetime. Okay, let's have a little fun. Let's talk about the types of toxic coworkers, like kind of like stereotype them, because they deserve to be stereotyped. First off, the employee who thinks they're the manager. Like, you're not the manager. It doesn't matter if I'm late. Why are you following me? Why are you keeping tabs on me? And I think that also relates to and connects to the snitch. The snitch is the person who will tell the manager every little thing that you might do wrong and is watching you like a hawk. Like they're not even doing their job. In their head that morning, they came into work to report what you did wrong. And like, think about that. Think about what I just said. What is wrong with these people? Or you have the chatty Cathys, the gossipers, the ones who always gossip. And like I said before, if they're willing to gossip about certain people at work, don't ever feel safe, because they'll gossip behind your back as soon as you turn around and walk away. I definitely do not like gossip in the workplace. Like, just please be normal. I think a lot of the culture comes from a good manager. Because if you don't have a good manager, the employees are just going to take over. And the employees, you know, they're not all chosen to work well together. or it's just not optimized well. Next up, we have the chameleon, right? They talk a certain type of way only around managers, or they act nice to certain people, but they act shady to other people. I think that's common in different scenarios in life too, not just work. Next, the ass kisser. They be kissing ass. I think that's self-explanatory, you know, the teacher's pet kind of thing. And I think that's fine, but as long as you don't do it like noticeably and are weird about it and act like you're on another realm. Ooh, I just thought of something super annoying. The coworker who corrects you and undermines you. Like, for example, the manager walks by, so they have to say really loud for no reason. For the past 3 days, you haven't spoke to me, but all of a sudden, now that the managers walk by, you want to teach me how to do dishes in a super condescending way? Yeah, that's a red flag. I definitely had a person like that at my old job. That guy would always call me bud or buddy when I left. Super condescending, always trying to put me down. Just another case of a classic weirdo. We have the know-it-all type, the ones with ego, the ones who waste time at work and report people instead of doing their own work, the bullies, the control freaks, and the loudmouths. I just kind of put them all together. And definitely a weird group right here that I'm gonna describe. Older people, like veterans, come together and bully new hires. Like, what's wrong with you? They're all just trying to make money. They're all human beings. But since you're in this job, you think it's some kind of territorial thing. I don't know. I think people have just become disillusioned in their life that they're forced to even work in the first place. So what can you really do to avoid these people? I think that's where the trap comes in. You need a balance. Like, you can't openly dislike them because they'll take that wrong and they'll start spiraling because they're already emotionally volatile. They're not stable. So you can't do that or they'll freak out. And if you completely ignore them, go cold turkey and distance yourself, which I think is a logical and safe thing to do, they'll start seeing you as an enemy. As primitive as it sounds, once they see someone staying away from the pack, distancing yourself from the group, they'll start treating you like the enemy. Just because you're different, just because you have different thoughts, just because you work and behave differently, and you just wanted to mind your own business. I know that can sound kind of primitive, but sometimes that's how these people act. Anyways, at the end of the day, it's just a job. You show up to make money, and those people you work with don't make it any easier. Some of them will be toxic, vindictive, but what you have to realize is, there is no rhyme or reason for this. They're just weirdos. I genuinely think a lot of these people are just sad. They have nothing going on in their life, so they turn to their workplace and turn it into some kind of emotional playground to project their issues and insecurities. You're not dealing with adults. You're dealing with grown-up children. So just do your best, protect your peace, and don't let them write the narrative. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.